WNST around here, and you guys know how much I love to pimp the puck around here. This guy has been up late with the Capitals, and now the Caps are on a little bit of a West Coast swing here, a Midwest West Coast swing, I would say. Winnipeg's not west, but it's west of here. They'll be freezing out there the next couple of days, and not playing great hockey right now. They've dropped 2 in overtime. First to the Detroit Red Wings on Sunday afternoon down in D.C., then again in Winnipeg on Tuesday night, now off to Minnesota on Thursday night. Ed Frankovic joins us here. He, of course, can be found at Ed Frankovic on Twitter, where he is, for my dough, as strong a Caps historian this side of Smoking Al Koken. What's going on, Eddie?
Good to talk, Ness. It's been since, I guess, the All-Star break with Super Bowl and everything, and that was quite an event. And the Capitals, they've been struggling, 3-2-2 since we last chatted, and the good news is 3 of those 4 victories were in the division. The bad news is on Tuesday night they snatched defeat from the jaws of victory, blowing a 3-1 lead. They've looked disinterested. The effort and the focus has been lacking. Maybe it's the middle of the season here, February, 2 months of the playoffs, 4 months in first place, no real threat at losing a playoff position, but this team's just not playing well at all right now.
Well, the Pittsburgh loss was ugly. I mean, just to start things there, Vegas is just far better than we thought they were going to. I mean, remember when they won the first 6, 8, 10 games? We're like, it's a trend. I mean, I know you're not a McPhee guy, but, I mean, what they've done out there has been incredible. But, the Caps were playing really, really good hockey into December around the turn of the year, and now we're getting into a little bit of a malaise. I don't know that it really matters, bro, right? I mean, they're going to make the playoffs. They're far above the water and all of that. Those were some of the concerns I think you and I had when they weren't playing well back in November, right? Like, this little period of time, as long as they write this thing 6 weeks from now when they need it righted, and I know you want to see better hockey, but, they were President's Trophy bound again about 5-6 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, they were right in the mix there, and you're right about Vegas. They have a very good team, and it was hard not to have a good team with that the way the expansion draft was set up. But yeah, the Caps, they just don't look interested. I mean, it's malaise is a good word for how they're playing right now, and they're going to be in. They're either going to be first or second. It's either going to be them or the Penguins that finish first. The Caps are 3 points up and have 2 games in hand. But the effort and the focus, you watch what happened Tuesday night. You look at they're up 3-1. You look at what happens on the second goal. Orlov makes a decision at the blue line. He probably shouldn't pinch in there. But even still, the Capitals have 3 guys back, and Nicholas Backstrom just doesn't cover anybody, and much like Tom Wilson did on the 4th goal on Sunday against Detroit. And that's just an effort thing. That's a focus thing. And I think that's where they're at right now. It's such a long season. This team has the talent. I think they can play with anybody in the league, especially with the way the talent's been diluted with the salary cap not going up much last year and the expansion draft with Vegas getting a good player from every team. But, you want them to play good hockey, like you said, and just the effort and the focus weren't there. And probably the worst period I've seen Nicholas Backstrom play on Tuesday night, that third period, because he gives the puck away. I mean, they get a power play late, up a goal after a vicious slash to Beagle, and they just kind of pass it around and don't even try to shoot. And next thing you know, Winnipeg ties the game and wins it in overtime. So that's effort, that's focus. That's on the players, that's on the coaches to try and get it turned around. The good news is they got 2 games coming up here this week, Thursday and Saturday in Minnesota and Chicago, where their dads are going to be there. So there's going to be no worry about it.
Oh, this is the dad's trip this week.
This is the dad's trip.
I did not know that. I was wondering when that was going to happen, because that's always a fun one, right?
Yes, the dads get picked up on Wednesday, head into Minnesota with the team. Mall of America, you were just there, so you could probably tell some good stories.
They're going to ride the coaster. Maybe I'll share my coaster picture. I finally got that sent to me 2 weeks later. It's a good coaster in the Mall of America, Ed.
Oh, I've never been there. I got to get there sometime. And
Take
then
your kids; they'll love it, man.
Oh,
your kids skate. There's an ice rink everywhere in Minnesota.
Yeah, well, I mean, we have to get there at some point. Yeah, especially with all high school hockey and everything there.
My wife and I, we left the stadium at midnight to go to the Eagles victory party. We ice skated about 6 blocks through the city, right on over to where the whole city's an ice rink most of the winter there. But the Vegas thing, you said something that I've never heard you say before, that too many good players went to Vegas. I want to hear you expound upon that, because you and I talked at length about the Ravens, the Caps maybe losing Grubauer, who they were going to lose. We talked a lot about that back in the spring last year, but we didn't talk about every team losing a decent player, not a star player, but, in every other expansion of my lifetime, this is unprecedented. I mean, I know the Jacksonville Jaguars were decent out of the gate. Remember that from 20 years ago or whatever. But this is unique and odd, and I don't think it's a bad idea if you're going to launch an expansion team in Las Vegas to have them be good.
That is a great idea, yeah. And you look at it, you could only protect 7 forwards, 3 defensemen, and a goalie, or 4 forwards, 4 defensemen, and a goalie. So some of these teams had, 4 really good defensemen they didn't want to let go. So, you're getting a second-line player from that team. The Washington Capitals, 7 forwards, 3 defensemen, 1 goalie. So they were either going to lose their backup goalie, who's very good, or they were going to lose their 4th defenseman. They lost Nate Schmidt. So you're getting top 6, top 4 players, one of those from every team. So you're going to be good. You're going to have a good team when you're picking from either the top 2 lines or the...
Did you believe that back in July and August that they would be... I mean, best in the league, but I mean, you knew they were going to be good. I did not know that.
I didn't think they would be. I didn't think they would be this good. Okay, I thought they would make the playoffs. Because it's a lot. You're taking guys, you got to put them together, you got to mold them, you got to get them to play as a unit. That was the question marks, and then you don't have really high end players. Where are you going to get the high end scoring from? Now, William Karlsson out of Columbus has been fantastic. He's been potting goals like crazy. The question is, will that keep up? Can they keep this? They seem to bond together. Like, hey, we had 30 teams that didn't want us. That's kind of been their bonding effect. The Vegas Strong thing, certainly they've all rallied around what happened out there in October or September with the shooting. But Gerard Gallant's done a great job as the coach. And then, I can't, as much as I'm not a McVie guy, he did pick the right players, and he took some deals to take on salary. Like with Columbus, he took David Clarkson, and he ended up getting William Karlsson out of it. He took Marc-Andre Fleury from Pittsburgh, and we know what he can do. He's shut the Caps out in the playoffs too many times. So they've relied heavily on goal. They've had very good goaltending with Marc-Andre Fleury. Maybe that's why they didn't want a Grubauer. And they have a very good defense, and they built a very fast team. The question is going to be, what happens when teams start game planning them too. So I think we'll see what happens down the stretch when teams starting to understand what they do. But they certainly, I thought they would be decent, maybe sneak in 7 or 8. I didn't think they'd be the top of the league.
Well, we didn't talk about it because it happened. That game with Vegas happened on Super Bowl Sunday, and I know they played out in Vegas on Christmas Eve, so we never had a chance to discuss that. And really, it's Cap's roots with McPhee running this organization for a decade, going out there to run that thing. All right, back to the Caps here. Problems for the Caps and solving these problems right now. Does it all begin first line with them that when that thing's going right, that makes them a little bit more unstoppable for the regular season? I know it's a lot different come playoff time.
Yeah, I think for the Capitals, it starts up the middle of the ice with the centers. They need both centers. They need both Backstrom and Kuznetsov going to win. And Lars Eller certainly played well, and he just signed a 5-year deal, so that was the big news last weekend with Eller re-upping for 5 years at the same cap number. So that was a good move by Brian McClellan. But the Capitals start up the middle of the ice. So if Kuznetsov and Backstrom are going, they're hard to beat. When those two guys are going, they dominate. And they've had a lot of games lately where one's been going and the other hasn't. Tuesday night in Winnipeg, I thought Backstrom probably played the worst period I've seen him play in the third period. And the big problem is with the Capitals as well is they're getting outshot a lot. And a lot of that has to do with the style of play. You can either look at the getting outshot 2 ways. You can say, well, they don't have the talent. That's why they're getting outshot.
Well, that's not the case.
Yeah, and that's not the case. This team has the talent. To me, it's more the style they're playing. It's the willingness to make the hard play, to not do that cross ice pass as they come across the zone that you and I talk about a lot. Because that's what's killing them is the way they're coming into the offensive zone and turning the puck over. What's happening is you look at the other team, you look at the Detroit game on Sunday, 4 of those 5 goals are rush goals because they've turned the puck over, and the Capitals have not, that's where the effort and the focus come in. The Capitals have not done a good job about coming back and covering guys. They've had guys in position on some of these rush goals, but they're not picking up the men. It's like a rebound in basketball where you leave a guy open for a backdoor rebound. There's a guy there, all you had to do was turn around and put a body on him. And I think that's where you look at the second goal, from Winnipeg on Tuesday, Nicholas Backstrom's Orlov makes a bad play. Nicholas Backstrom's right there, could easily take Scheifele there in the slot. He lets him go. Goal. Those are the kind of things that when you watch the film and you look at the replays, you're like, that's an effort and a focus. That's is that on the players, the coaches? Probably both. They got if they want to get to where they want to get to, they got to clean that stuff up.
Ed Frankovic is our Caps historian and insider and blogger at WNST.net. Has been for a decade. You can find him at Ed Frankovic out on Twitter during any Caps game. Caps get back on the ice Thursday night against the Minnesota Wild and then, of course, the Chicago Blackhawks. And, I'm kind of shocked the Blackhawks have really fallen. Of all the teams that have fallen off the cliff here lately, I think the Rangers as well, Canadians haven't been very good. But shocking that the Blackhawks, who for the last 7-8 years have been a Stanley Cup, and this is where you didn't want the Capitals to be, where the Blackhawks are, right? Like fallen from grace.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I think where the problems with Chicago started, obviously they put a lot of money into their stars like Pittsburgh and the Caps have, but the real problem was Corey Crawford, their goalie, got hurt, and they just not gotten consistent goaltending. And I actually watched them play Arizona on Monday night, and boy, they looked bad. You couldn't even fault the goaltending. They just got outplayed. They made some trades. Stan Bowman made some trades that you might want to scratch your head on, trying to get Brandon Saad back for Artemi Panarin, who's been really good for Columbus. That was a bit of a head scratcher for me, and of course, they lost Nicholas Hjalmarsson on the back end because they just couldn't pay the guy anymore. So they're thin on D. Their goaltending without Corey Crawford has been bad, and Taves and Kane. I watched the game again on Monday night against Arizona. Just really didn't notice them. And of course, they go into Vegas and just got blown out. Vegas preys on those teams that go with a lot of teams do the Arizona Vegas back to back. Vegas preys on them. The one team we're not going to like talking about that did well in that set was the Flyers. The Flyers are pretty hot right now. They went in there and on Sunday night and really stuck it to Vegas. I was pretty impressed with the way the Flyers have been playing, as much as I have disdain for the black and orange from Philadelphia. But
they're having way too much fun up there. Behind every Eagles fan is a happy Flyers fan, and that's unacceptable.
Yeah, you couldn't have liked. That's the one thing. There's a lot of Baltimore ties to that Eagles team, and I was happy they won. They certainly deserved it. It was a heck of a game, Super Bowl for the ages. But I don't like seeing happy Flyers fans. I was kind of hoping they'd tear the whole rink down when they were celebrating there or burn it down on the parade or after the Super Bowl. Because anything against the Flyers is always good with me. But they're a team that's playing well. If the Capitals can get their act together and win this division, the best scenario for them right now is the Flyers and the Penguins playing each other in the first round. That would be a heck of a battle. Let Pittsburgh or Philly, whoever comes out of that, get beat up. Now, the Flyers have goaltending issues right now. Their starting goalie, Brian Elliott's going to be out 5 to 6 weeks. So Michael Neuwirth, an old Caps guy.
We know him. I have his bobblehead still.
We know him well. He's going to be carrying the reins there in Philadelphia, and they're going to be looking for a goaltender. The trade deadline's a week from Monday. That's going to be big for the Capitals. I'm pretty sure the Capitals are going to pick up a defenseman because I just can't see them going in the playoffs, Ness, with two rookies back there and Juice and Bowie. Those kids they've gotten a lot better, but they make mistakes. And they're just going to have to try and make an upgrade there, but the cap is very tight. So they're going to need someone to take on salary, or they're going to have to move somebody out. Do they move Andre Burakovsky, who's been very, very poor? He's been in and out of the lineup, not playing well. The first goal on Tuesday night, all on him. Dustin Byfuglien goes around him like he's an orange road cone. But then Burakovsky comes back and redeems himself with a big goal in the second period. So which Andre Burakovsky are we going to get? You and I talk about that a lot, just like we do about Kuznetsov.
Who are you happy with right now on the Caps team, Ed?
Well, I'm happy with the goaltending. I'm really happy with Holtby.
And the fans kill him, right? Like, you're always defending Braden Holtby.
Yeah, it's ridiculous that they're blaming Braden Holtby. When you look at the goals, they're 2-on-1s, rush goals, rebounds. I'm pretty happy with Holtby. I'm very happy with Dmitry Orlov, even though he didn't have his best third period last night. But again, I think I put a lot of that on Backstrom. I'm very happy with the way Orlov's playing. Happy with the way Ovechkin's playing. He's putting the puck on net. I wish more guys would do that. So I would say those three guys have been their best players this season. But some other guys, Carlson's been pretty good, especially offensively. Defensively, he has some work to do. I think the biggest thing is this team has a lot of work to do in their own zone, and I think that's effort and focus. It's coverage, it's breakouts, it's back checking, picking up the right men on these transition plays, and some of that starts in the offensive zone with the wingers not turning the puck over on the boards. This puck's got to go, as Alamé talks about, over and over and over. Let's get pucks at the net or put pucks behind the net. Those cross-ice passes just inside the blue line are a recipe for disaster. That's where they got to clean things up.
They've stayed relatively healthy so far, knock on wood, right? Like, when you look up at games played where they are 56 into this, there's a lot of guys that have played 50-plus games. They have not had a lot of man down like, let's say, the Ravens had last season.
That's right. And the Capitals, they've had more injuries in the last 2 years when they had that depth. And depth allows you to play everybody evenly and you get fewer injuries. The key
also
injuries,
less ice time, too. I mean, this time last year, Ovechkin was 14, 16, 18 minutes. He's back over 20 every game, right?
Yeah, and I think that's a function of him getting in shape. You remember when you and I had our session with Trotz. I mean, Trotz, he was flat out. Ovi's been chasing his conditioning all season last year. But this year he came in healthy, slimmed down, in much better shape, and his play has reflected that. The one injury that's really hurt them, I think, has been the Oshie injury the most. He took that concussion. He just hasn't been the same player since. He did make a really nice play to set up the third goal with a nice forecheck. So there's signs of life out of Oshie, but I'd like to see him shooting the puck more. I'd like to see a lot of other guys shooting the puck more. I think that's the biggest thing. These guys get into this Harlem Globetrotter mentality of that, let's make 4 passes to set up an open net. It's that Russian hockey type mentality. And, it's funny, the best Russian on the planet doesn't have that mentality. Alex Ovechkin will shoot the puck from anywhere.
No conscience, none at all, right?
Yeah, just throw it on net. Throw it where the goalie's not going to have to make an easy glove save. Hit it off his pads and go to the net. That's how you have success. The goalies are too good. They're too quick. When you look at a guy like Brett Connolly, that's another guy I'm happy with. 14 goals, and I chatted with him after the Columbus game last Friday night. His focus is getting to the seams and getting a shot off quickly. If you get your shot off quickly before the goalies get set, that's how you're going to score. That's one of the problems with Burakovsky. He's got a very long windup, and it takes him a while to shoot the puck. On Tuesday night, he gets a goal because he uses a snapshot, a quick release, and the goalie can't get over, and he scores. If Burakovsky does more of that, going to the net and quicker shots, he's going to start seeing production.
Some garbage goals is what the Caps need going to Minnesota and Chicago this week. Ed Frankovic can be found at WNST.net after most Caps games. Certainly can be found on Twitter during all Caps games at Ed Frankovic. You can always email him, ed@WNST.net. Hey, man, it's been a little while. I'm getting back into my groove here. I'm mixing in some Rob Halford from Judas Priest next week, so we're mixing it up around here. But I will not be a stranger to the frozen pond, and I know we get an outdoor game coming up in a couple of weeks, too.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun time down at the Naval Academy, and I guess after this UMBC Navy lacrosse game on Saturday, they're going to start putting the ice in down there at the stadium, so that'll be fun. We'll have to do a little head out on the highway to go down to Annapolis and see that game. And
we'll be breaking the law. We'll be living after midnight.
Yeah, you got another thing coming if the Capitals don't start playing better, right?
Yeah, there you go. Good job, Ed. Way to go. Hey, we'll see you next week at some point. I know they get back at home next Tuesday night against Tampa, so not a lot of home hockey here, but the big game down in Annapolis on the 3rd of March. Ed, stay warm amidst the frozen pond out there. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. Hopefully we have a good couple games here with the dads in attendance.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, last year it went well, right? But 2 years ago it didn't go well, right?
That's correct.
That is correct. I remember a couple years ago they had a little bit too much fun, as I remember it.
Some of those dads like the adult beverages.
They went for Dad. Be good, Ed. See you soon, man.
You too, Ness. Take
care. There he goes, Ed Frankovic. All of our WNST programming brought to you by our friends at Howard Bank, our new sponsor, sponsoring all of our community reports. We're going to begin on Thursdays in March. And, of course, Royal Farms, real fresh, real fast, and around the corner from you. Download that ROFO app and use that when you gas up. Use that when you chicken up or coffee up and get some points. And you'll save some money. It's great. Royal Farms and the app. Download it now. Get your rewards. Don't forget the Maryland Jockey Club also sponsoring us. Entry is going to be involved in our morning newspaper as well as on the front of our website coming soon. And they are racing down at Laurel all month long. You can learn more out at their website as well. I'm out in the bayou, Toyota.com audio vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world. You can listen to what you want, when you want, how you want. You can also download that TuneIn Radio app and listen live anytime you want as well. Our morning newspaper ships directly to your email inbox each and every morning at 7 a.m. That's all brought to you by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com, where it's still $10 a month to get in the best shape of your life, guaranteed. If there's any breaking news, like maybe the Orioles sign a pitcher or something, you'll get that first on the WNST Tech Service. That's all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. Dennis will be here on Thursday getting you ready for the weekend. I wonder if Dennis is watching the Olympics or not. I'm going to find out. I'm going to get him on next week as well. We'll talk some football. Dennis Colazzos, 3 until 5. It is the SSV on WNST. That's on Thursday. Last but never least, Nasty at WNST.net reaches me for complaints, criticism, praise. I prefer praise. doesn't always come in praise. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook Live as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. Don't forget the Ray Lewis bus selling like hotcakes right now. It's crazy. If you want to get on it, join us. If you want to go to the Thursday Night Fake football game, we're running a bus for that too. 3 different buses, 3 different days, 3 different ways to go see Ray Lewis go into Canton. We were there at the beginning. We're going to be there at the end. How about that? I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore. And we never stop talking Baltimore sports and whatever else we want.